Coming your way on today's Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Bleacher Report named their top 3 trade targets for the Sixers. We're going to take a look at those players. Do they make sense? Do they not? Stay tuned to find out what we think here on the show. Let's also take a look at our August sub-battle. 76ers now putting together a really good August after having the best summer in the history of this channel, and honestly, one of the best summers for any NBA channel in the history of chat sports. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sixers. Thank you to all of the real ones. As you can see, 6 subs away from taking down Knicks now for the most subscribers picked up since August 1. It's August 29th. Month is coming to a close. Let's get the dub and let's start the show. I'm Chase Sr. You're watching 76ers Now. And let's talk some trade targets for Philadelphia. Obviously, as of right now, Philadelphia's roster pretty much set, but could they make some additions at some point this upcoming season? So, Bleacher Report putting together their top 3 trade targets for Daryl Morey and company, and some of these players we've talked about a lot here on the show, including Santi Aldama, the forward center of the Memphis Grizzlies, looked at as a pretty decent fit for the Sixers because Gershawn Yabusele looked at by a lot of people as somewhat of an unknown commodity just because he flopped out of the league after being a first-round pick for the Boston Celtics, did perform very well for Team France during the Olympics, had some good flashes with Real Madrid, but is he an NBA player? We're not sure. Aldama is an NBA player. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say about him. There aren't many weaknesses on a new-look Sixers team, although the power forward position is a little bit thin, with 6'5" Caleb Martin projected to start. Aldama is one of the NBA's most underrated players, a 23-year-old, 6'11" forward who averaged 11.5 points, 6 rebounds, just under 3 assists, and 1.7 stocks. That's blocks and steals in his 35 starts for the Grizzlies last year. He can space the floor and has far better size for the position than Martin, who would get to play more of the 3 off the bench. Now, that would certainly add an interesting wrinkle, and it would change up what the Sixers starting 5 would be, because right now I think the Sixers are going to move forward with Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Caleb Martin, Joel Embiid. Depending on the matchup any given night, you're a little bit small, right? But the Sixers also have players with long wingspans, and that's a very analytical approach to roster building and roster construction by Daryl Morey. But you bring in a player like Aldama, 6'11", 215, who can do some of the things that he can do. You go from having questionable size to that not being an issue at all. He was certainly hooping for Spain in the Olympics. So in the international circuit, we've seen a couple of these NBA players, former NBA players, maybe some cast-offs or players who were trying to get to the NBA who made some really nice impressions. And here are the numbers that he put up. 28 points per game, or 28 minutes per game, almost 18 points per game, 9+ rebounds. He also shot 41% from the field and 45% from 3. He is entering the final year of his contract. $3.9 million, will be a restricted free agent next offseason. So, Chip, certainly an interesting player that would give Philadelphia some size and, honestly, some playmaking at that power forward position.
Yeah, I like what Aldama could bring to this Sixers team. You know, you talked about Yabusele, a little bit of an unknown at this point. Obviously, Caleb Martin's a little smaller. KJ Martin hasn't really shown to be a truly effective NBA player. Whereas Santi Aldama, obviously in the Olympics was great, and he's shown flashes with the Memphis Grizzlies as well. And, you know, they're a little bit of a deep team over there in Memphis. A lot of players coming back from injury from last season. So Aldama, a player who is going to be a free agent after this season, is restricted. I could see the Grizzlies being willing to move off of him for a player like KJ Martin, who would be on an expiring deal, but you could, you know, throw a pick in there, maybe some seconds, maybe a protected first to go get Aldama. I think he's a great fit on this roster. Probably my favorite out of all these 3 trade targets we'll talk about because he has the size, but he also has some skill that we see a lot of times in these overseas players where they can be, you know, bigger and whatnot, but they still have a lot of actual skill. He can shoot the ball, put on the floor a little bit. That's not really his game. And at his frame, he can rebound the ball very, very well as well. So I think he could start for this team. He could come off the bench and provide a big impact. So Santi Aldama, a name you definitely want to watch as the season starts. If the Sixers start off maybe a little slow where they see a need at that 4 position, if Caleb Martin, Gershon Yabusele aren't really cutting it, Santi Aldama, I think he'd be a great addition, man.
Let's go to Jared Vanderbilt. He's trade target number 2 from Bleacher Report. Another player who has some skill here, who might be hidden on the Lakers roster right now. Bleacher Report saying he's a talented, versatile defender who can switch from bigs to wings. Vanderbilt brings the kind of defense that Philadelphia will need from its role players. 25-year-old has good size at 6'8", beginning a very reasonable 4-year, $48 million contract extension. Now, last year, averaged 5 points per game, just under 5 boards, 51.8% from the floor. You really like the size at 6'9", 214. I think there's a better player in there than what he was able to show last year. He can defend. He can hit the 3 from time to time, although that is an area of his game that needs to become a little bit more consistent because he'll give you high-level defense, and if he can pair the high-level defense with the consistent 3-point shot, he could be a very valuable player. And look, he's still young in his mid-20s. So you look at those 3-point numbers between Minnesota, Utah, Los Angeles, some up, a lot of downs though. 29.6% from 3 last year. Year before that, 32.2%. You're thinking maybe he's turning a corner because that came after 2 consecutive years in which he was ice cold. 14.3% and then 20% in those first 2 years that you see at the bottom of your screen. But a player who can kind of do a little bit of everything, and if he can figure out that 3-point shot, as I mentioned, that's when the contract becomes a steal, a bargain, and a really good deal for an acquiring team. Again, because of the size, switching ability, and the defense, he starts knocking down that 3-point shot, and you're looking at a player here who, if he gives you those valuable skills, would be looked at as a very valuable asset. $10.7 million in 2024-2025, and then it goes up the remaining years there. What do you like about Vanderbilt? What do you not like about Vanderbilt there, Chet?
Yeah, so I'll start with some of the positives. He definitely bring another type of player to the Sixers that is going to get dirty. He's going to hustle, play hard, and at his size, with his skill set, he can defend at a very high level. I think he can defend 1 through 5. He has the quickness in the perimeter to play out there, but he's also big enough, but also has the strength and the toughness to be able to guard bigger players. Now, did deal with injuries last year and it's been somewhat inconsistent, especially offensively. You said it, Chase. It's an area of his game where I'd like to see some improvements, specifically from beyond the arc. Now, will he ever get there? His shot form's a little bit ugly. I'm not sure he's ever going to be a plus 3-point shooter, but if he can be 35% from 3 and give you really high-level defense. He's a player that not enough people know how good of a defender he is. That's just another versatile chess piece that the Sixers can use in their lineup to throw different bodies at some of these wings and bigger players they have to guard in the Celtics, the Bucks, the Knicks. Just another option that, if you can't get that more offensive-focused, versatile option in Santi Aldama and you're looking for more of that defense, rebounding hustle, Vanderbilt is a player that if the Lakers are looking to retool that roster, maybe they're not doing so hot come trade deadline, that could be another name to watch out for to be on the move.
Yeah, and we talk about the Sixers' lack of size. Like, Vanderbilt's not going to really help you down low, but he is 6'9". He's hella long. He can guard a couple of different positions, and he could really add a different dimension to the Sixers team on the defensive side of the floor. I do want to give a shout-out to all of the real ones who have followed our 76ers Now Instagram account. On yesterday's show, I said, I'm giving shout-outs to everybody who has given us a follow. So let me pull this up here, and I'm seeing Ali G, Jack, Mike, DJ Animal, Lion Fighter, Hattie Harb, Lloyd Pascal, Tyler Simmons, Cag, Quentin Heiss, Oscar N, Darren, Sierra Gracias, Justin McIntyre, Florin Regley, Al Rice, David Laurie, Aaron Lloyd, Samuel D, Tyrone Harris, Space Jam, Zach, Aim Franson, Paul Tucci, and Angel Hernandez. Thanks to everybody who gave us a follow on our 76ers Now Instagram account. You'll see and hear from myself, Chip, just a lot of short-form content that goes up on there so that you can stay in the know. And if you like the show, you see more of us on an additional platform at 76ers Now IG. Give us a follow. We are currently at 45 followers, and we just launched the page yesterday. Can we get to 100 followers with today's show? Let's ride. Team USA shirts available right now. Chatsports.com/Team USA. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Joel Embiid, an Olympic gold medalist. How cool is that? You could celebrate that. Chatsports.com/Team USA. And you can also look fresh in the process. Trade target number 3, Georges Niang. Bang, bang, Niang. Could he come back to the city of brotherly love? He's been with the Cleveland Cavaliers over the last couple of years, and Georges Niang is a player who, obviously, we are all familiar with. He is not going to impact this team on the defensive end of the floor, but very relied upon to knock down the three. And that is an area in which he thrives with. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say about him. A former fan favorite in Philly, Niang actually fits this roster now better than ever. The 6'7" power forward played in all 82 games for the Cavs last year, averaging a career high 9.4 points while hitting almost 38% of his threes. And if I said he's been with the Cavs the last couple of years, I think it was only last year that he signed with Cleveland, but it feels as though he's been away from Philadelphia for so long. Maybe that's because of how difficult that year was last year for the Sixers. It felt as though it was a couple of years packed into one. For Niang, 2022-2023, those numbers with Philadelphia, thought they were really good. And then the season before that, also excellent when it comes down to him knocking down the three. Now, his three-point numbers were sub 40% with Cleveland last year, but not playing on as good of a team as Philadelphia. So he didn't get as many open looks, but I'm sure he would enjoy coming back to the Sixers. He would get open opportunities. He'd get some run. He could probably be back at that 40% threshold, knocking down shots from beyond the arc. The energy that he brought made him a fan favorite, and he was a player who seemed to relish and cherish the opportunity to play in front of us, these incredible fans. Niang's contract that he signed last year got a nice little payday after signing on the vet min with Philadelphia, $8.5 million in 2024-2025, and then $8.2 million the following year. Chip, again, not going to help you out defensively. It's pretty much a traffic cone on that end, but he's a sure thing letting it fly from distance.
Yeah, you trade for Niang, you obviously know what you're getting from him. Gonna shoot it, not gonna do much else. That's why personally I'd be more in favor of going for one of these other two players here in Vanderbilt or in Santi Aldama, just because they offer a little bit more of a variety in what they can bring to the team. Now, if the Sixers are a horrible three-point shooting team for some reason, they feel like they don't have enough floor spacing in that starting five and coming off that bench, I do think Niang would be a bench addition, wouldn't be in the starting lineup because of that defensive liability. But, you know, if Daryl Morey does feel we need some more shooting and Niang's available, he'd be pretty cheap, a player that you're obviously familiar with, I could see this move happening, but I would rather look at some other options that can maybe do a little bit more. You know, Santi Aldama can still shoot it and do a lot of other things like rebounding the basketball. Vanderbilt can play good defense and be that kind of glue guy that all championship teams need. So I would love a Niang reunion, Bang Bang Niang, the minivan. Loved him.
The minivan.
The minivan. It's a great nickname.
Yes,
I'd love him back, but I think he's more of a, we missed out on some of these other options. Let's just go a cheap route, someone we're familiar with.
Yeah. All right. So 3 trade targets there for the 76ers. Thanks to everybody for tuning into the show. Now it's your opportunity to let your opinions be heard down in the comments section. Which player do you like? SA, JV, GN. Type those initials down in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. It might be the off season, but we don't have an off season here on this channel because we keep the content coming.